Hey guys, welcome back to Mainville ATV and Outdoors, where we do all things all-terrain. You've probably been wondering where I've been, but I can tell you, it's actually done. It's all done. It's all out of the way. The property's in good shape. The house is in good shape. We're going to give you a ton of updates, what we've got going on, what we did, kind of clear the air, and I have some exciting news as well, so let's get into it. Alright, so if you guys have been keeping track, I've been doing these property videos, and normally it's not what I do, but because it's kind of what's stopping me from doing everything else, I've been keeping you guys up to date. And because you have been interested, I just continue doing it. So this is kind of going to be, in one way or another, the last property update video you're going to see, especially about the house and everything else, because at this point I'm basically done. Everything from here is optional, you know what I mean? When it comes to the back trail and all of that, that's all relevant. Like, that's going to be trail and ATV stuff and some really cool content we have going on back there. So you're going to see plenty of updates on that. As far as up here, I'm going to show you what we've got going on, and we're also going to dip on some of the news that we've got, because we're going to be working with some really cool manufacturers this year. And don't worry, while I've been doing all this, I've also been lining up some cool stuff and projects, ATV related, get back to doing what we do best. So we're gonna touch on that as well. First up, we're gonna talk about the machines and the garage here. You guys all know about the garage. If you're new here, we have a playlist of videos you can go and check out. We basically did a build on trying to use up space efficiently in a small shop. It kind of became my power sports studio kind of thing, so it's pretty cool. Definitely go check out those videos. In the shop, basically, with how busy we've been, some of these machines need some maintenance and they didn't get it. But fortunately, while all of this has been going on, I've been lining up parts. And then we had some odd issues. We're going to start with the Renegade. I was actually doing a photo shoot for Finntrail, and while we were doing that, for whatever reason, it just wouldn't start. It locked up. This is after running, everything worked great. I basically parked, did a bunch of photos, and I went to go start it and it wouldn't start. And I was doing this photo shoot with a buddy of mine, Glass Glows Media. If you've been a long-time follower, you'd know who that is. And funny enough, like a month later when I actually got around to trying to figure it out, I was talking to him about how it's really easy to forget the simple things. I have this thing that I've always done where I think of all of the problems and how they could happen, and I forget to keep it simple. And I started chasing wiring and stuff, and I did find some loose wiring, so in the odd circumstance, I think that would have caused my starting issue. But we were joking and changing out solenoids and doing some testing and moving along, and we joked like, oh, I wonder if we could just tap the starter and, you know, maybe it's, you know, seized up in there. Maybe a little water got in, it seized up. It'd be weird, but let's give it a shot. Sure enough, we give it 2 taps and it fires right up. So I think I have a seal going, and the starter had some water in it and it kind of locked up a little bit. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. It's starting good now, but I have a feeling the next time I go in water and let it sit, it may do the same. So if that's the case, I know exactly what it is. Fortunately, I know how to fix that. It's very easy. The starters on these are not hard, not easy. They're just kind of annoying. So definitely have that going on. This needs like filters and oil and all the standard stuff, a little bit of coolant from what I can see. But other than that, it's in great shape. This thing has been absolutely flawless, other than one sensor that I broke the wiring on. That got touchy-feely for a little while, but I have that fixed and replaced. Otherwise, it's been flawless. Every issue with it has been basically my fault, and there hasn't even been many of those. Moving on to the side-by-side, I'll actually bring you guys around. I have some parts and stuff to show you. One thing that people don't believe about me, or find it really hard to believe, is I've never broken an axle. Some people are going to say I've swapped out to aftermarkets and stuff before I ever could break an axle, and I suppose that's partly true, but at the end of the day, I have never broken an axle on my own machine. Until now, maybe, and I'll let you guys be the judge of this. Can-Am Defenders, Maverick Sports, and Commanders, there may be more, but I believe that's it, and not always, would have a click in their axles. My side-by-side started doing it at 100 kilometers, which was like years and years ago. I never did anything with it because I was told that it was just a simple defect in the plate that's in your CV. And it was just clicking. It never broke. It did tons of miles after that. We were hard on it. We turboed it. We went up the Rockies. We did all sorts of stuff. So it was obviously not going to fail. The clicking has been progressively getting worse, and it's not failing, and it hasn't actually broke, but it's annoying, and I did notice that they were getting warmer than the rest of the axles. So I had a chat with Pete Sales and Service, which is my dealer out of Ottawa. They've always been my Can-Am dealer, and they've supported me for years. Even though my machine has been out of warranty for years, and even when I had warranty, I voided it immediately by putting a turbo on it. They contacted Can-Am, and they knew of the defect, and there was a bulletin for it. So regardless of me being outside the bulletin and out of warranty, Can-Am and Pete Sales and Service actually still covered it and got me 4 axles. I have all 4 axles for the machine. So have I broken an axle? I'm still going to say no. Have I had an axle fail? No, not really. Kind of. Like it might be on the way out, or it might go another 10,000 kilometers. I have no idea. But I have 4 brand new axles. That's one of the things that's going to be going into the Maverick Sport. Beyond that, general maintenance. You guys might have seen that I was complaining about a surge in power, and I checked my belt, but I obviously didn't check it enough because there is some glazed spots. So essentially what happens is your clutch just won't grab on those spots, and it causes more of a surge. And it wasn't a big deal if you were putting more power to it, but we figured it out. It was the belt, so my first inclination was right. So that's 2 examples of keep it simple stupid that I just didn't do. So we have a brand new OEM belt with the abuse that I put my Maverick Sport through with a turbo and the extra power. The OEM belt's great. I'm just going to stick with that. Next, I need to do spark plugs and wires, and the only reason I need to do wires is because I actually cut one by accident a long time ago. I was checking the plugs, and when I pulled a wire, I actually pulled it against one of the heat shields and it sliced it. It's actually on there, and it's been on there for a long time. I just threw some electrical tape, and you know, temporary bush fix becomes a permanent bush fix. So I'm going to finally fix that. I have all the OEM oils that I need. I'm going to do every fluid, and that basically makes this whole machine brand new. The only thing I've ever actually had fail on that side-by-side is one lower control arm when I bash it into a rock racing. Even when I rolled it, I don't think I really broke anything. Ultimately, that machine has, oh, and the battery. I did have to do a battery. Which is my fault. I actually killed it using memory on a radio that I didn't know it had. It had a constant power. So you're starting to see a pattern of the only thing that breaks, and I say this all the time, is usually because of the loose nut behind the wheel. Typically, operator error accounts for the majority of things breaking, especially in power sports. And not to everyone's fault. Like, power sports is just genuinely a sport where you break things. It's just the way she goes, especially on this end of the sport. So I mean, it's just the cost of playing. It is what it is. So as far as maintenance on my machine, this is super, super light. These machines have been great to me. And this is what I say about any manufacturer. Any machine can be great and last a long time as long as you do the maintenance and keep an eye on it and ride it smart. I don't care if it's CF Moto, I don't care if it's Segway, or I don't care if it's Can-Am, Polaris. Maybe not Polaris, but you get what I'm saying. I think the only other thing I'm excited about is hopefully this year we actually have some snow and I can pull these sleds out. It kind of worked out last year that we didn't have any snow whatsoever. I actually warmed these up and then just put them away. That's literally all I did. There was one weekend that I could go out sledding, and I actually brought my Renegade, and I didn't get stuck, so I guess it wouldn't have been good snowmobiling anyway. So, but this year, they're saying it's going to be a little colder and a little more snow, and I hope that's true. But last year, like I said, it worked out because then I could do the siding on the house, and we did a bunch of other projects, and we kept busy, so kind of took advantage of it. But this is kind of what I'm excited to get to. We do have some other machines coming that is going to make the winter very interesting. We're hoping to do some tracks and stuff. I can't wait to show you guys that. But yeah, sledding content is definitely on its way. All right, so before we get to the actual property update and everything else, I figured I'd start with the stuff most people care about. We do have plans, and I try not to count my chickens before they lay. How does that saying go? Lay eggs, don't count. Anyway, we do have 2 manufacturers that we are working with. It's just a matter of when and how exactly. I cannot say anything yet. I can tell you that both deals are supposed to be in December and beyond for 1 year each. I will give you a hint. One is a manufacturer I've worked with in the past, one is not, and I am excited about both. They offer two very different things, and even when they get close to the same idea, they're so different that I'm excited to share that with you. I always make sure that deals are open, and what I mean by that is they don't tell me what to do. There's things that they want, like exposure or certain kinds of videos, certain places, maybe go meet up and do an event, whatever. But ultimately, they do not tell me my opinion. They don't navigate what I'm going to do and show you necessarily. I just get to ride and show you the machines, give you my opinion, give you a tour, show you something that you might not have seen before, maybe open your eyes to a new option, or whatever. And the point of it is to kind of give you the Joe Blow experience, and that's what I seek the most. So these two manufacturers agreed to that, and I could have signed up with a lot of other deals, and they just weren't the kind of deals that felt genuine and honest. So if both of these deals work out the way I think they are, and I'm pretty confident, I'm confident enough to tell you guys about them, I think they're going to be really, really awesome. So keep an eye out. I'll give you another hint. Both machines are going to fit in here with all of these other machines. So I think that'll tell you everything you need to know. But one of them will be swapped out continuously based on what other options are available. And that's pretty cool. So let me know what your guesses are in the comments. And if you're warm, I'll let you know. How's that? So you're going to notice a big time gap between the last update and this one, and as well as a gap of videos. It got to the point where I was getting distracted by all of these things, and I just wanted to wipe them off the board. It was getting in the way of how I wanted to make videos. I felt rushed. I wasn't having a good time. And I don't want that in my videos, you know? I want to have a good time. I want to show you guys something cool, do something cool, maybe share some new ideas, repair something. So all of these projects just had to be wiped off the board. So I basically took some time, and that's exactly what I did. Don't get me wrong, I still have plenty of actual work in the background. I basically stopped everything on the YouTube channel, everything on social media, and just got to work. The point of that was to be winter ready and all the projects done before the frost. Some of that's gonna be obvious when I get to it, but what you'll see behind me is essentially I'm ready to rip. Literally as of today, I have nothing left on my plate. Everything from here is optional, and I can pick at it whenever I want in my free time. So I've got the tractor with the blower on, I got the camper off, trailers are ready, sled trailers ready to rip. So I can grab whatever I need, and I'm just gonna go out and play now. Grab my machines and go. That's kind of where I want it to be. My biggest problem with this property was there was nowhere to put anything. I like having my stuff put away. If I have something, it needs a place to exist. It's just the way I am, and if it doesn't function, it drives me nuts. It's also a way of protecting your stuff, keeping an eye on it, making sure you're maintaining it. That's just the way I am. And as of right now, I can tell you that literally everything has a place to be, and it feels awesome. It's always awkward when cars go by and they see a dude with a camera. One sec. Okay, so behind me, from another angle in the last video, you would have seen that we took down all of the trees and dead brush and everything else here. This was a way bigger project and a snowball that I kind of didn't expect, especially now. This all started because I needed somewhere to put dirt when we started the concrete near the house. There used to be a swamp hole right behind me, and I was like, oh, all right. So we'll just take that excess dirt and we'll dump it in the hole and everything will be good. And then I was like, well, while we're at it, we'll clean up some trees, and then while we're at it, we'll grind some stumps and maybe do some landscaping. And then I ended up putting in a fence, you know, some decorative fence, so that there was something here because it was starting to look pretty open. And well, once I had the fence, I was like, you know, it'd be nice, there's some trees. So we planted 10 maple trees, sugar maples. Some are called fall fiestas. They turn red, it's very pretty. Obviously they're going to sleep now, all their leaves are pretty well shuttered down, but then I planted some grass seed and a little more soil, a little more work. You can see where this is going. All of this was a snowball because of another project. This was supposed to be next year. So I definitely bit off more than I could chew, but fortunately I did hire out at least half of it to contractors. I put in the fence, I stained the fence. The trees were put in with the tractor, like you name it. So we put in about 200 feet of fence. It took me about 16 hours alone to install them and stain them. And I found out this whole place is bedrock. It was an adventure, but we got them in and it's solid and it looks great. It kind of gives that whole farmy vibe. It's pretty sweet. So this was a project that took a lot of work. Getting the rocks out, flattening it, grinding stumps, putting topsoil, the fence, the grass, you name it. So this was a lot, and I'm so glad it's done because it really tied in the place. While we were at it, I'm standing on the driveway. It was about time that we actually sealed the paved driveway, so we got that done too. All of this had to happen in a certain order so that I didn't screw up the driveway or I had a chance to fix it at the end. I wanted to reduce traffic of machines and dump trucks and stuff like that. So, whew, it got crazy, but I got those trees in before the frost. They were very happy. I had a chance to water them a bunch. So they're just gonna hibernate. We'll see how they do next year. And they're warranted for 5 years. I didn't know you can get warranty on a tree, but you can. You just gotta put some fertilizer on them and water them a certain way and boom, warranty. Random side projects, but we also had to trim these apple trees right down. We actually still have to trim more, but there's only so much you can take off a tree before you start really shocking it. These apple trees haven't been touched in, I'm gonna guess, 4 or 5 years. They were haywire. What you're looking at is probably half of what used to be there. And it's still a little bit too big in my opinion. This was producing so many apples that we were kind of scared that, I don't know if you know this, but fruit trees, when they overproduce one year, they're actually trying to basically procreate. They're trying to, get more apple trees to spawn. So we're a little worried that some of these trees weren't taken care of and they were trying to just make new apple trees. We've got 3 on the property in the front. We have 1 in the back and we have a couple new ones planted. We'll see how they do, but that was a lot of work too. We had to pick up all the brush and burn it all and get rid of that. 3 trees of that is actually a fair bit, but we got her done. I know we talked about this last time with the concrete and everything this summer, but some of you were wondering how the grass was going to turn out through the hay. So we put grass seed down on new fresh soil and then we put hay down. And I'll tell you right now, confirmed, this is the best way to grow grass if you can get hay. I got a buddy down the street, Farmer John. He's got hay for days. It's literally what he does. So I've got plenty of that, but this came in full, no weeds, and it was just amazing in no time. Everything along the driveway, I didn't do hay, and it came in, but it also came in with weeds, and it didn't come in as full and mature as this did. This came in like the grass had always been there. It's pretty wild. So if I could make a suggestion, use hay. Soak it down, put tons of grass seed, away you go. You don't even have to touch it. I think I only watered it like 4 times. It was mint. So with everything going on in the yard, in the front with the fence, when we did the asphalt driveway, when we did all the concrete around the house, when we did all of that work, everything needed soil and to be re-landscaped. But part of that obviously is because we created huge lips. We had to do a bunch of excavation and there was damage to the yard and everything like that. But a lot for water shedding. Water has been a theme of this house, getting rid of water. So we had to make sure everything was good to go and we were actually shedding water away from the house, especially with the way this thing's sitting on bedrock. Water moves not ideally, let's put it that way. Like my sump pump, even right now, is working probably every 45 minutes. So I have backups for backups running on that. So all the landscaping is done all the way around the driveway, all in the front, all on the side here. And that was another big job that was happening simultaneously. My new tractor had its first service done pretty well immediately. I'm putting the hours heavy on that thing. So it's been a great machine, and well, now it's got the snowblower ready for winter, but it's been ideal. One of the more unexpected repairs that we had to do, this is my septic tank, and it used to just have concrete lids. If you've ever had a septic tank, basically you have your solid side, which holds your solids, if you know what I mean, and then your wet or water side. That's at least what I've always called them. This side, fortunately, was the one that broke. When we excavated it just to have a look, just to see where the tanks were at, I like to know things, especially before winter when things get more miserable. What I found was this lid was broken completely. So the previous owner, one of them, just put a rock over it so that you wouldn't like fall through, but there was just straight up holes straight into the tank. So the way it broke, we were able to get the chunks out and then put one of these synthetic plastic lids over top. And we managed to find one big enough to cover that hole. well, there goes my sump pump. So this was kind of crazy to find out, and it kind of worked out because we have to get it pumped anyway. It was supposed to be done when we got the place, but anyway, this was just one of those things that happened all at the same time as everything else, and you just wonder, like, why? Why is there always something, right? But it's done, and we feel great about it, and it's just another one of those things that's done around here. Everything seems to be water related. I don't know why, but if it's water or poop or something, that's what's going on with this house and what needs to be fixed. So fortunately, there's almost nothing left. We did hot water tanks. We did all the plumbing in the house was redone. Now this, and oh man, crazy. This was a big one. This was bigger than I thought, actually. Where I'm standing used to be a little pile of wood, tall grass. This is where garbage was dumped by previous owners. 5-gallon pails of dog poop for some reason. Thank you for that, last guy. But anyway, this was a mess. My idea was to put a wood shed, equipment shed back here. I like the single pitch, it just looks good. This was a little more than I wanted. I'm happy, I'm very happy with the result. I'm glad it ended up this way. For some reason in my head, I was like, oh, I want the low end of the pitch to be tall enough for my tractor. That's just the only thought that I had. I'm a very wing it kind of guy. When we did it, because of the uneven ground that was already here, it was exaggerated with the sonotubes and stuff like that. So the back end of that is the height that I wanted, but it made everything else just so much bigger. And it's all good, it all worked out, and I wouldn't have it any other way now. But at first I was like, oh my God, this is way bigger than I thought. On the left side, we have our firewood. On the right side, that's just where equipment and stuff's gonna go. I'm eventually gonna build some shelves for, you know, just lumber that I have. I always have excess little bits, but I don't wanna throw out. So it's 12 deep by 8 on the first chunk here. Like the wood that we did for the walls, we open it up so you can get some fresh air through. That's also 8 foot high to the square point. So this ends up being 800 square feet roughly. It's like 768 or whatever. It ends up being 6 full cords of wood in there, and like no problem. On this side, I needed a place to put off-season equipment and a few other things. I'm eventually gonna have a chopping block so I can split some wood. I do have a wood splitter and a few other things. I have a lot of little accessories that still need to go in here, and hang up chainsaws and hang up axes and that kind of stuff. Everything has a place. I have bins of wood. I already have about 1.5 cords in there. I have a cord up there. I have a cord down there, and I have logs in the back. Logs and logs for days. I probably have 7 or 8 cords of wood waiting in the bush right now amongst wood chips and everything else. I had to put it somewhere. The long-term vision, if we end up staying here, is I want to do a wood boiler here. And a wood boiler is essentially an outside fireplace for to heat your home. So you heat water with it, and it sends the water into your house, and then you have an air-to-water heat exchanger inside on your furnace. So with that, we can heat a future shop, the current shop, and this house, no questions asked. It'd be super easy. This is going to be where all of that is done in the long run. So we have somewhere to put equipment and things and stuff. And yeah, so one of the things that we found out with this is we put in the sonotubes and we found bedrock right away. In most of the yard, you'll find bedrock and shale within 16 inches to 32 inches max. And that's what a lot of these were, which, as you know, for sonotubes, that's just not enough depth to handle the frost. So what we did was we drilled rebar into the bedrock and then tied that into the sonotubes. And most of these are only about 24 to 30 inches. And then from there, we did 6x6 treated post and beams to make sure that I could make the length, the distance. This will handle snow load, no problem. It's all hurricane tied and the whole bit. Honestly, if something comes through here, this shed's gonna be the place that I go. It's hardcore. I might end up doing sliding barn doors at some point, if not for one side, then most of it, because obviously you guys are wondering, like, well, snow is just gonna fly in there. And for the most part, it will, and that's all right. The big thing is to get sun off hydraulic hoses and things like that. And just general rain, you're never going to have anything get too wet in there. Rain on wood is not really the problem. It's the internal moisture when you cut down the tree that you need to get rid of. So I'm very happy with this. I moved a ton of gravel, 22 tons to be exact. Is that how that works? A yard a ton? It was 20 to 22 yards when the truck showed up. And while I was at it, I did the fire pit, I did the bridge to the neighbors and a few other details so that all of it was kind of the same. All the rocks that are along there was basically from the front, and you could see how this all happens. That job turned into that job, turned into this job, and they all kind of tied in together. So I built a retaining wall with those, and now we have gravel. So with the wood boiler idea there, we want to do a wood sauna back there because we have a waterfall and a creek, and you can see the gravel go around, and I'm going to build a trail down there. So we have lots of projects going on there. We're actually going to go down to the trail now because we did a lot of work back there as well. A fairly minor thing, but if you've been paying attention to this at all, this is the beginning of the trail, and it used to be a lot tighter. There's a lot of dead trees through here, elm and ash specifically. Elm trees have something called Dutch elm, and it spreads, and a lot of those got taken out in this area, and I've been saving as many as I can. In the front yard, I've got, I don't know, 4 or 5, but they need to be spaced out in a way that if one gets diseased, it doesn't spread to the next. So back here, they're all dead. They all got wiped out. My buddy came in with a skid steer, which is the work you're going to see up ahead. But wherever he didn't fit, we basically knocked him down. I still have a lot of work to do, and there's still plenty more to knock down, but it's significantly bigger in here. This was actually one of the choke points, and now it's gone. So that's a lot nicer. And as time goes on, I'm going to make this wider and better and bigger and wider and better and bigger, on and on and on, until I have basically a road more than a trail to get to the back. And you'll see why in a bit. So again, if you know the trail, we are past the swamp portion. And this hill has been significantly reduced. It's not a problem for machines to get up there, but tractors and stuff, especially if you were loaded down or pulling logs or whatever, this was a bit steep. And on top of that, it was full of big boulders. You're gonna see all these rocks all along the trail. I'm gonna be picking these up and throwing them in the swamp to make more base to make the trail bigger. This was all taken down and shaved down nice and smooth by a good buddy of mine, Ollie. He has a business here in Ottawa called Ballyduff Farms, and he has skid steer services. So he's been starting up social media, and I've been helping him out, and in exchange he's been out here chipping away at the odd little project. So whenever he comes in and does a lot of the work, I'll basically clean it up with the tractor or work in tandem. So this is kind of the beginning. This hill was shaved, and that was a big one to make this a little bit better. Again, it's little things at a time and moving along. I'm going to show you the top and the big pile of rock that we're building up. You're going to notice the trail's a lot nicer. When you came through here with the tractor, it would rattle your teeth and it would upset the balance of your tractor so much because there's no suspension that I would be rubbing a lot of these trees with my cab, and that was just no good. So he came in here and shaved it all right down and collected all the rocks. I know there's a bit of dirt, but that's literally all boulders. So I'm going to take those, chuck them in the swamp, get some soil and wood chip and stuff, and basically just keep making the trail better. So that's what I'm going to do with all this, and I know I'm going to run into more. Oh, there's a deer. Where were you in hunting season? So we're going to use all of those to build up the trail, and I'm going to collect more and more and more of those. This area is full of rocks, so it's not a big deal. A lot of people pay good money for these, apparently. I was showing one of my neighbors, and they were telling me what these rocks are worth. Holy moly. Never mind gold. Find big boulders. Buy boulders. Buy dirt. So very excited to have this done. The turnaround's nice and clean. We're going to have some trails off this in the future, and that's the kind of stuff that you're going to see more and more of next year. But we're going to get to the field, and I'm telling you what's going on there because it's pretty exciting. Okay, so what you see here is basically halfway into my property and everything that I own in this section. You're going to see a green part. That was the original trail that was through here. That was the original clearing on this side, and I cleared a lot of this too. All of this, however, was dead ash and dead elm. So again, we knocked all of those down. We pulled out a bunch of root balls. We cleaned all of this up, and we did it just in time for hunting season. So back here, my family has been deer hunting, and they weren't successful this year for a few reasons, but we have tons of traffic back here, and it's amazing. So I'm really invested in making that a little bit better. All of the original plans are still true. There's still going to be a fire pit and stuff like that, but I plan on doing a food plot, which I did mention last time. But I'm putting, now I'm going to be putting a little hunting blind, a permanent one back here, because this was just phenomenal. The nice part is you're close enough to home that at the end of the day, you just walk down the trail and you're good to go, start a fire and enjoy your night. Or when you're done, you just go grab the quad, drag them out of here and hang them up at the woodshed. So all of these pieces are really coming together. This is like the staging point for all the activities. I fully plan on also planting new oak trees and stuff, fruit trees, give deer as many reasons as I can to be here, essentially. So we do have some old apple trees that I'm hoping to bring back to life. We'll see how that goes, but this area has been phenomenal. So they set up some kind of bush blinds back here, and they were very successful with traffic and stuff, and they did see bucks. They had a buck tag, but they were too young, and when you're taking a buck, you want to make sure it's the right one. You don't want to be taking them too young or anything like that, because you want to make sure the population is healthy and growing and stuff, and you know, obviously to get your money's worth. So they didn't take the shots, and they just let traffic go by. There were some big females, like it was beautiful back here, so they were very happy with that. And I like having a reason for family to come out and enjoy the property too. There's no sense in having 10 acres and not having, you know, people enjoy it. I'm backed up to nothingness. There's nothing for forever and ever all the way. So it's beautiful forest, and I fully intend on the other 5 acres to have the trail continue with a nice loop, you know, because there's some beautiful swamp back there that I want to go ATVing in. There's also the swamp over there that I want to do a bounty hole in, stuff like that. So all of this stuff's coming together, just not exactly in the timeline I'd hoped. But yeah, it's really coming together. So the field is now twice as big. All of the dead stuff that we're pulling out will allow the younger stuff to kind of come through. I want to make sure that I clean up this forest in a way that I keep the original diversity and make sure the oaks thrive, and get rid of like junk invasive poplars, and get rid of anything that's just sucking up energy for no reason, essentially, or blocking sun. So lots of great work back here, and it's a lot of fun. But I don't know if you can see it, but there's a pile of wood back there. These are the trees that I've been taking out of here. It's probably 12 feet high stacked, and that's enough firewood to heat a house, a family house like ours, oh geez, for 2 years at least, maybe even 3. I'll bet you there's 15 cord or more in there. There's a lot of wood. We took out tons and tons from here and even more from on the other side, and we haven't even touched the backside. And these are all dead standing trees, like they're pretty well dry already, so that's pretty exciting. Anyway, I think you guys get the idea. It's been bananas. And I'm glad I just wiped the schedule to get it all done, because now I just can get back to it for the first time in a year. That's how long we've lived here, is just a hair over a year. All of the stuff that we've done to this place, this property, throughout the whole build series was 1 year, right? And not to mention, Cass and I still have lives outside of this. It's not like this is my full-time job. So I have all sorts of stuff going on. I can get back to YouTube, back to having fun, back to making content. And I think this is the best position that we've ever been in. So we're feeling really good about it. We can't wait for all the stuff that we've been working on behind the scenes to kind of come around and get back to a schedule where I can actually, you know, do some riding, get out, see you guys, do something cool, you know, build something new. I don't know, maybe we do a new project. There's all sorts of things that I want to get up to, and I'm glad I can get back to it. So do me a favor, hit the like button, and make sure that you're subscribed if you are new and made it this far. That would really help let YouTube know that I am alive, I am well. We have other social media, Instagram, Facebook. If you have a platform of choice, we are there, I promise you. Some of them I don't really care for, like Twitter. I just don't think that's relevant to what we do. But we are there. We have all sorts of stuff covered all over the internet. So make sure to go check those out. For those of you who are members on this channel, thank you. Thank you for your patience. And I understand that it hasn't been perfect, but we are going to get back to the membership program. If you don't know what that is, there's a join button underneath the video right beside the thanks button. And that's one way that you can directly support the channel. We also have mainvilleatv.ca. When you go there, you can find some merch if you want a sweater or hat or whatever. There's a few options for you there. That does support us as well. Not nearly as much as the membership program, but for that, at least you get something in return. I want you guys to have options if that's something you want to do. For the rest of you, a like button is more than enough. We appreciate all of that interaction. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.